चारण लोभहट सदा कमी हेनु दुर्जन सज्जन वर्जित अपराधी निरंतर शुभ कार्य शून्य सदनत माना नाना दुखे जर जर नाना दुखे जर जर भद्दा की कोना उपय विहीन तद्दीना किंचन भद्दा की कोना उपय विहीन तद्दीना किंचन भक्ति विनोद प्रभुर चरणे भक्ति विनोद प्रभुर चरणे कोरे दुःख निवेदना कोरे दुःख निवेदना भक्ति विनोद प्रभुर चरणे कोरे दुःख निवेदना कोरे दुःख निवेदना अमर जीवन सदपापेरता नहीं को पुण्येरा देश अमर जीवन सदपापेरता नहीं को पुण्येरा देश पारे रे उद्वेगा दिया चीजे कोटो दिया जीवेरा क्लेश दिया जीवेरा क्लेश हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying out of utter humility, I am an impious sinner and have caused others great anxiety and trouble. I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts for my own enjoyment, devoid of all compassion, concerned only with my own selfish interest. I am remorseful, seeing others happy. I am a perpetual liar, and the misery of others is a source of great pleasure too. The material desires within the core of my heart are unlimited. I am wrathful, devoted to the false pride and arrogance, intoxicated by vanity and bewildered by worldly affairs. Envy and egotism are the ornaments I wear. Ruined by laziness and sleep, I persist all pious deeds. Yet I am very active and enthusiastic to perform wicked acts. For worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. Thus, I am destroyed by my own greed and I am always lustful. A vile, wicked man such as this, rejected by godly people, is the constant offender. I am such a person, devoid of all good works, forever inclined towards evil, worn out and wasted by various miseries. Now, in this old age, deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, Bhakti Vinoda submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity. I'm finished. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All will Krishna Prabhupada. Welcome back. So we would continue now Madhurya Kadambhini. We are in the last lesson now, 7th lesson of the first shower. As you know, Madhurya Kadambhini, there are 8 showers, showers of nectar, prema, Krishna prema. So let me share my PowerPoint. Before we begin, just offer our prayers to our Guru Parampara and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Prabhupada. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha. O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Kisha Krishnam Swanga Pangostra Parshalam Yagnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Su Medasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregation chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaika Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanama Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anande Namattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures for the benefit of all the human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna, and they are in the mood of the gopis. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayad Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All good Shri Prabhupada. Welcome back again. So now we've been hearing Shri Madhurya Kadambhini, and there are 8 showers I just mentioned to you. Now, each shower is really a bank of cloud showering Krishna Prema, the nectar of Krishna Prema. So we did the first shower, actually the last lesson, 7th lesson that we are going to be doing now. But before I begin the 7th lesson and then conclude the first shower, let's hear the recapping of the 6th lesson. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Yes, we are going through Madhurya Kadambhini, which is a cloud bank of sweet cloud bank of mercy. And as per Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who has authored this book, Madhurya Kadambhini, and it goes from Shraddha to Prema Bhakti stage. So there are 8 short, just now Prabhuji said in this book, and we just dealt with and dealing with the first shower. It included 7 lessons, shower 1, and up till now we have seen 6 lessons, and 7 will begin today. That Bhakti begets Bhakti. So lesson 2, it was Mangalacharan, a text to evoke divine blessings. Lesson 3, it narrated about Bhakti Devi is self-manifesting. Lesson 4 dealt about Bhagwan's mercy potency is entrusted to the devotee. Lesson 5 was the futility of any practice devoid of Bhakti. And in the last week, we closed with lesson 6, the superiority of Bhakti or Moksha and Gyan nourished by Bhakti. So today we'll go for lesson 7, Bhakti begets Bhakti, and we'll close with shower 1, and tomorrow we'll begin with shower 2 with first lesson, that is the creeper of Bhakti. So lesson 6, as just told, the superiority of Bhakti over Moksha and Gyan, nourished by Bhakti itself. Okay. So as we do see that Gyanis opine that Gyan is required for Bhakti. But here Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur refutes it and says that Bhakti is independent and Bhakti is supreme and superior. So even in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the shloka, Savai Punsa Paro Dharma Yator Bhakti Adokshadze Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidhati. So yes, it is the greatness of Bhakti, superiority of Bhakti over liberation and Gyan. So likewise, we have seen Bhakti is independent of Atmagyan or the knowledge of Parat. So there are 3 branches of Gyan. So Tat Padartha Gyana, Tvam Padartha Gyana, and Sambandha Gyana. So Tat Padartha Gyana, which explains about the knowledge of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, who is the object of worship, who is Sachidananda, who is Swayam Bhagwan, and who is the embodiment of Madhurya Rasa and kindness. So we saw the second branch of Jnana, that is Tvam Padartha Jnana, about Jiva, the information about Jiva. Jiva arises from marginal potency of Lord itself and derives from marginality, but still is Vibhinna Ansh, and there is minute independence also from the Lord or Jiva. Then we saw Sambandha Jnana. Okay, so the relationship between Jiva and Lord, that is explained in Sambandha Jnana. So Sambandha Jnana, the knowledge of the relationship between Bhagwan and Jiva. And we saw that Bhagwan is Vibhu and Jiva is Anu. As Prabhuji explained, Bhagwan is controller and Jiva is controlled by Maya. Jiva is always indulged in miseries and is always forgetful. So, yes, we saw that the limitations about Jiva and how Lord is great. So, with respect to the Padartha Jnana, from Padartha Jnana and Sambandha Jnana. So, here Jnanis, we saw that the school of Jnanis subscribe to the oneness of the absolute, devoid of qualities and formless reality with the Jiva. So, here Bhakti, as we see, we do not believe in impersonal Brahma. So, yes, so this was in a nutshell about Sambandha Jnana, how Jnanis, they are focusing about oneness of Jiva with the Lord, but devotees, they don't. Then Jnana and Vairagya, they are the byproducts of Bhakti. Of course, session break, Prabhuji told that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur refutes with scriptural evidence of Jnana contention that Jiva is the activator of Bhakti. So, in that we saw that Bhakti's supreme excellence over Mukti or liberation, and such a Prema Bhakti is superior to Moksha. That means the liberation, which is the ultimate goal of Jnanis. So here we saw that moksha cannot be the activator of bhakti for two reasons, as Gyan is not the limb of bhakti process. And the second one, that bhakti is much, much more superior than mukti, which is considered as the ultimate knowledge by Gyanis. The second, we saw that Bhagwan does not give prema bhakti unless there is hankering within the heart. The Lord will give you whatever you want. That is, Krishna gives liberation, will give sense gratification easily, even to devotees, but keeps hidden the pure devotional service. The second, we saw that those who desire enjoyment or merging, even that has been offered by Lord, but the devotees, they do not ask for it. They do just want to attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Lord. So we saw that Krishna rarely grants Prema Bhakti because he is controlled by it. So here Jiva Goswami says that even to attain Sayuji Mukti, even a Jivan Mukta must wait until his prarabdha karmas are destroyed. So Parikshit Maharaj says to Shukadev Goswami that devotees are very rare. So even in thousands of Jivan Mukta, one can find a devotee. A devotee of Narayana is rarer than the billions of such Jivan Mukta. This is because the mind of such a devotee is serene or undisturbed. So Jiva Goswami here also we saw that even if a person is liberated in this life, he again becomes bound to worldliness, being addicted to material desires because of offenses to the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of God. So likewise, we saw that how Bhakti is much more superior to Gyan and Vairagya. And this was in a nutshell the message from lesson 6. So today, His Grace Charuchandra Prabhu will continue with lesson 7, that how Bhakti begets Bhakti itself. And tomorrow we'll go for shower 2, will commence with lesson 8, that is a creeper of Bhakti.
Thank you very much, Nitya Mataji. So beautifully done. So previous lesson, as Mataji just said, the Gyanis claim that only through Jnana Bhakti comes. So Jnana is an activator of Bhakti. So now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur completely turns the argument around and shows conclusively that no, Bhakti is not dependent on anything else. Bhakti begets Bhakti. From Bhakti comes Bhakti. Actually, the Jnana is nourished by Bhakti. Jnana, Karma, Yoga, they are nourished by Bhakti. So that is what we are going to see. But before I continue, I just want to correct, as per our discussion this morning, morning for me, yours probably the previous night, that we are going to now conduct each process by itself, so we can focus 100% So instead of doing the the second shower, actually that's where the real Shraddha to Prema dialogue discussion taking place. The whole Madhurya Kadambhini is about Shraddha to Prema progressive stages. So that begins from second shower. So we won't begin second shower tomorrow. Rather, we will first complete Prema Vivarta. Today we did, yesterday for you, we did lesson 6, right? So lesson 7 we'll do tomorrow onwards. And we will complete all 16 lessons, and then we will resume our Madhurya Kadambhini, and then we'll focus all the way just Madhurya Kadambhini. We'll meet 3 times a week, and then complete, and then we will begin after completion of Madhurya Kadambhini. Then we will begin with Sri Jaiva Dharma. So that is my kind of plan, goal, and that's why I sought all of your opinion, and practically everyone shared, supported the proposal I made. Right? So let's begin. So this is the first slide. As you can see in the yellow box, that's for the lesson 7, Bhakti begets Bhakti. And these are the text 5L through 6AB. And the pages I mentioned also, page 102 to 116 in that book, the main textbook we use. A very, very extensive textbook. So lesson 7 has basically 3 sub-themes. Jnana is nourished by the mercy of Bhakti, completely negating the argument put forward by the Jnanis, Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, So Jnana itself is nourished by mercy of Bhakti. Without Bhakti, Jnana cannot produce. In fact, Jnana and Vairagya are the byproducts of Bhakti. That we will see in text 5L, pages 101 to 105. Then Bhakti arises from Bhakti, the main theme of this lesson, 106 to 110. And last, one with mature intelligence. So those who know and can understand the dialogue, this argument, very powerful argument, and the scriptural evidence presented by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, then we use our intelligence and then follow, and we will also be inclined toward bhakti. That is what the ultimate goal. Okay. So here you see the text 5L. What does it say in this nearly about 6 pages, pages 101 to 106. And I am just presenting you the main argument and the principal evidence. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes quite at length, and by the mercy of bhakti. So he quotes this particular verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 18. Krishna Bhakti Bina, without the devotional service rendered unto the lotus feet of Krishna, Tatha Dite Nare Phala. So without that, we cannot attain any fruit. So without the help of bhakti, no practice can bestow the fruit. Either we talk about jnana, karma yoga, or the yoga. That is the verse Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. So through an analogy, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur reconciles the dichotomy. What is dichotomy? Two things coming together and opposing each other. Of the Jnani's practice of Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Jnana Mishra Bhakti. That means the Jnanis, the predominant path is through Jnana, philosophical discussion, logical deduction, mental speculation, and so on like that. not the kind of jnana we talk about, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, no. So their goal to come to Bhakti platform is through jnana path, that is what they're saying. That's why they argue, saying that only jnana, until unless you attain the proper jnana means their atma jnana they are talking about, knowledge of the soul, and that only activates bhakti. Without jnana, you cannot get in the bhakti platform. That's what they're saying. So now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to negate that. And what is his chief argument? Understand please carefully. His chief argument, very logically makes argument, that jnana, how do they come to bhakti platform? So jnana mishra bhakti is not a pure bhakti. And jnana we saw in the last lesson also, the jnana you come only after you develop nishkam karma yoga. That means you link to the Supreme through your karma, but without any expectation of the result. Okay, you submit the result to the Lord. That is how you get around. You get around enjoying the result, because the result, if you want to enjoy, reward is there, then you cannot get out of the material world. You go to the higher planetary systems. So the argument about a jnani, you have nishkam karma yoga, then control your mind, and then you focus, meditate, focus on Shri Krishna, only on that platform. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, as we'll see, but I'm just giving you an overview, the gist of his argument, okay? He's saying that jnanis come to bhakti platform through the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga and so on like that. And Nishkam Karma Yoga, when you offer the results to Krishna, basically that happens when? Not when you are under the influence of the lower modes of material nature, passion, which is the hankering, material enjoyment, and the ignorance, So you have to get around that and arrive at the mode of goodness, okay? The mode of pure goodness. Then only you come to Bhakti platform. So basically, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is showing that ultimately it is the mode of goodness. So clearly, we know through Shastra that bhakti is transcendental, beyond the modes of material nature. So how is it possible? So that is why the Jnana Mishra Bhakti, that means it's in the bhakti offered, rendered at the mode of goodness level only, And so that is what I just gave you upfront, the main line of argument, okay? Now we'll see what evidence he's offering, okay? So first he's explaining why that Jnana Mishra Bhakti is not transcendental, but it is based on coming at the mode of goodness. So here we'll read that. Let me show you the mark, Chris. The Jnani's practice of Jnana Mishra Bhakti is the mode of goodness to attain their ultimate goal of moksha, because the goal is to really Savijya Mukti, means merging with the Brahma Jyoti, impersonal Brahman effulgence of Krishna's body, and that's what their goal, okay? And that they come on the place of Nishkam Karma Yoga. So when a devotee worships the Supreme Personality Godhead and offers the results of his activities, that is Nishkam Karma Yoga, in order to free himself from the inebrities, means and circumvent. You don't want to enjoy the reward, because the reward is going to the heavenly planets, and you don't want that because you want to gain moksha, liberation, merging with the Brahma Jyoti. So you don't want to go to enjoy that result. That's why they do that. But that is in the mode of goodness, offering the results to Krishna. That's how you get Nishkam Karma Yoga. From the inebrities of fruitive activities. So you don't want to enjoy the fruit of your karma. This devotion is in the mode of goodness. So very nicely he showed that that is not the transcendental bhakti, then it is Jnana Mishra Bhakti. It's not a pure bhakti. Because remember, pure bhakti defined by Srila Rupa Goswami, what he says that? Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. All other desires, hankering must come to end. Then the second line is even more important. Jnana karma adi anavritam. It must be free, it must be uncovered of all jnana and the karma. Here clearly they are not off the jnana platform. Coming to jnana platform through Nishkam Karma Yoga. So clearly that's not pure bhakti. Now he's giving the analogy, example about Vamandev. Lord Vamandev. So why is giving that? To explain that the Jnanis do come to Bhakti platform through Jnana, okay? But that, the question might arise that how do they get Bhakti then? The Bhakti is transcendental, and here they are in the mode of goodness. So why would they get Bhakti, pure Bhakti? So here, the magnanimity of Bhakti is being emphasized. Because many Jnanis struggle to come to Bhakti platform, and Krishna Bhakti is so merciful, noticing, realizing the efforts of the Jnani. So Bhakti actually comes one step below from the transcendental platform to come to the mode of goodness in order to accept the Jnana Mishra Bhakti, okay? Later on, of course, they will become pure bhaktas. So that's why how Bhakti devotes herself, comes one step downwards to help the Jnanis. So in order to explain that, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving the example of Vamandev. Who is Vamandev? Vamandev is actually Lord Vishnu himself. And Lord Vamandev agreed to come to stay in the heavenly planets because of Mata Sachi. What is that? Yes, Sachi, I think. Indra's mother, the demigod mother, she requested the Lord to protect her sons, Indra and others, to please come and stay with them. So Lord Vamandev actually resided in the heavenly planets. So that is what the analogy is given. The analogy of Vamandev willingly accepted to play a subordinate role, because here, when Vamandev came, he did not become the elder brother of Indra. He chose to become a younger brother of Indra. So Vamandev had to listen to Indra because the elder brothers always dictates, right? So he willingly accepted a subordinate position because of the love of Sachimata, So play a subordinate role of being Upendra. Upendra means after Indra. Upa means after. Willingly accepted being a younger brother of Indra. Okay, the most compassionate Bhakti Devi, similarly, despite being the function of the Bhagavan's Sarupa Shakti, and despite being Nirguna, Nirguna means without any material modes, transcendental, or beyond all material qualities, mercifully and by her own independent desire, adopts the mode of goodness. See that? Very nicely developing their argument so convincingly. And that's why she comes to the material mode of goodness, Sattva Rupa, Sattva Guna, to make the Jnanis practice bhakti, so their jnana complete and their goal they can achieve it. That's how now Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains how jnana mishra bhakti comes through mode of goodness. Okay, the bhakti arises from bhakti. So now he is going to present arguments that bhakti is not dependent on anything else. Rather, all the other paths are dependent on bhakti, completely negating the jnani's argument that the jnana is the activator of bhakti. That's not true. So look at the verse says, Bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. Bhaktya, through bhakti, jnana comes, begets. The fruit of sadhana bhakti is prema bhakti. We all know sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and then ultimately prema bhakti. The ultimate fruit of sadhana. Sadhana means what? Practice. When you don't have, you have to develop, cultivate that. So there are two kinds of sadhana bhakti. There's a Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, because those who do not have natural inclination towards Krishna, natural affinity, natural attraction for bhakti process, for Krishna. So then they have to cultivate, they have to develop by the powerful limbs of bhakti. And there are three components of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti I mentioned so many times. That first component, that these senses we have, they are materially contaminated. They must be purified, and the mind must be purified. How? By following the Vedic injunctions, the method described by the Vedas. Okay, and how do we follow that? Because a sadhaka, a neophyte, do not understand the scriptures. In scriptures, there are built-in contradictions. So you need guidance from a bona fide spiritual master. So these are the three components: Vedic injunctions, purifying their senses under the guidance of the Guru. So that's what you need. So that's what he's saying, that Bhaktya Sanjayate Bhaktya, the fruit of sadhana bhakti is prema bhakti. So and the other path, those who have some inclination, natural inclination, all they need to develop further. So that is raga bhakti. Through raga, through attachment, they have some attachment, but to develop under the footstep, following the footsteps of the Braja Gopis, or the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They are called ragatmika. Their very soul is devotion to Krishna. So follow in their footsteps. So these are the two paths of sadhana bhakti. And then each converging into bhava bhakti, and ultimately fruit is the prema bhakti. Okay? So, and come to bhava bhakti means what? You have to develop emotions, ecstatic bhavas, the rasas. We discussed in previous sandarbha also, actually, and Radha Tattva also to some extent. And we are going to go at great length again, this rasa tattva in Sri Jaiva Dharma. So he says that his hair standing on end without of great emotions, love for Krishna, and that's how you serve Krishna. Remember Sri Hari, and makes others also remember him. As such a devotee who comes to Bhava platform, by his own example, the others get attracted and come to that emotional stage. So the development in the transformational stages of sadhana, first sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and then ultimately prema bhakti, the three broad classes, which further culminates into the perfectional stage of Mahabhava, as we learned before in our course, that Shraddha to Prema, Madhurya Kadambhini deals with only Shraddha to Prema, but that the story doesn't end there. In fact, that Prema further develops Vrati, Sneha, Mana, or Pranaya. Mana and Pranaya can interchange, that we saw that. And then Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, Mahabhava. And then Mahabhava also goes further actually. And only the Vraja Gopis headed by Srimati Radharani, they are the one only have gotten this Mahabhava stage, the ultimate topmost stage. So which further culminates into the perfectional stage of Mahabhava. So Bhakti Devi is omnipresent, all controlling, all nourishing, doesn't need any other help. In fact, Bhakti nourishes Jnana, Karma and others. All attractive, Sasukam Karta, means very easily, joyfully perform Bhakti, no dragging feet like that, and supremely independent and self-manifesting. See, all these adjectives are explaining the nature of Bhakti. But without Bhakti, in the sadhus, we heard the previous lesson in Madhurya Kadambhini that Krishna transmits the mercy of his bhakti to his devotees. And which two kind of devotees? Madhyamadhikari. Remember, we saw that. So, and Madhyamadhikari, they bring neophytes to come to bhakti platform. But how do they do? Unless they have their own bhakti matured, they cannot attract others. So here I'm saying same thing. Without bhakti in the sadhus, their mercy that they're transmitting through Krishna's mercy, they cannot arise. They become potent of giving bhakti to the neophytes only when they themselves have achieved that prema bhakti. So that is the gist of the arguments that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making. Okay. So now here, development and transformation stages of sadhana, sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti, and further culminating into the perfection stage of Mahabhava, we just discussed. And Bhakti Devi is omnipresent, all controlling, all nourishing, all these adjectives that we just heard. So now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to further develop at that point actually. How is Bhakti totally independent, self-manifesting? So this, what we do, this portion, we are going to zoom it in the next slide. See the yellow box? So we'll do that right here. See that? In the, just a minute. So first we'll take a break because that's a little bit lengthy discussion is there. So let's take a break so you freshen up yourself. And this is a philosophy, okay? So philosophy you don't understand, it may come across as boring, okay? So in order to understand philosophy, you really have to have a very sharp focus on that. So let's take a break so you can listen carefully. Bye both. In last 10-15 minutes, I want to devote the discussion we had yesterday about that focusing on one course at a time. So that's what I'm rushing towards that. So at least we can 10-15 minutes, we can have a discussion, all of us, open discussion. Well, we are approaching just about 1 minute. In seconds. Okay. So here we go that we are zooming it on that. So now, as I told you, it's a little philosophy is there, okay? So in the practice of karma, jnana, and yoga, Ashtanga yoga, all these three branches, independent branches, not really independent, they must be linked to bhakti in order to get a full success. But what's the difference? Three paths versus the direct bhakti path, okay? So there is what is the difference? Their means, the route which they go and the ultimate goal, they are not exactly the same, okay? Unlike bhakti is directly there. So let's see three examples. Srila Vishwanath Thakur explains that. So if we talk about karma yoga, linking with Krishna through your karmas, okay? And Krishna says, you directly offer whatever you do, yet karoshi, yet asnasi, yet josi, in whatever you do it as an offering to me, he says, you know. And so ultimately you come to Krishna, you know. So here, the karma jnanis, karma yogis, their sadhana, their practice, means by which they want to attain their ultimate goal. And what is their ultimate goal actually? Karmis actually wants to go to heavenly planets and enjoy more. First, before going to heavenly planets, enjoy here the best, and then ultimately go to the heavenly planets. That is what is karma kanda, and then they come to karma yoga. So that is their sadhana, that's their practice, offering oblations. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually describes what are the karmis. Their practice involves, they have to perform homas, fire sacrifices, yajna, etc. They have to do, okay, and then offer into the oblations, you know. And their goal is to attainment of heavenly planets. That's the goal. Now look at the Jnanis. Jnanis, what is their sadhana involves? Their practice to come to that platform. So the ultimate prayojan is quite different. Okay, sadhana encompasses withdrawal of their mind from the sense objects. In fact, that was one of the reasons we argued this morning also. Because of that, they have to withdraw their mind forcefully from all sense objects, and that they renounce all the sense objects, sensual pleasure. That's why they don't want to get engaged, get involved, anything that is of material nature. Okay, so there is a renunciation, but that's not a proper renunciation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows, as explained by Jagadananda Prabhu. He said that path is not really a true renunciation. That's a Falgu Vairagya, not the Yukta Vairagya. So how do they do that? Withdrawal of the mind from sense objects, and they do it by Shama. Okay, Sama, Dhamma, Shama means refraining the senses from its sense objects. Restrain the senses, Dhamma, and then the meditation to control the mind, Ashtanga Yoga like that. And the goal is to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, effulgence, bodily effulgence of Krishna. So that is what they do. So their sadhana is completely different than their goal. That's what they want to come. So it's a roundabout way of coming. So sadhana of the yogi is to practice yama, niyama, sitting postures, all these things to control the mind. Mind is very flickering, very chanchala. So you have to fix it, focus it internally, inwardly, because the goal is Paramatma, who's situated in the heart. So they want to invert the mind inside, and that's why they do that, first controlling the mind. But their goal is to really Paramatma Savijya Mukti. But in contrast, is sadhana, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti, they are actually basically incremental stages. Every stage, the process is same actually. And increasing orders of the same sadhana, and the goal of each sadhana is to incremental means progressing stages wise, reach the highest perfection stage of prema. And that's what we are going to see the rest of Madhurya Kadambhini. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti explains each of these stages coming from beginning at Adav Shraddha, faith, how Shraddha, when you have, then Sadhu Sangha, associated with the sadhus, going all the way to the prema. There are stages, 9-fold stages. So we won't go right now here. But that is what differs, how the bhaktas, they do. They're right from beginning, they're focused, developing. So the topmost bhakti, Uttama bhakti, that you will be surprised, even in the sadhana stage, even in the practicing stage, they are practicing Uttama bhakti, pure bhakti. Okay, they develop further by practice, and incrementally, step by step, they go all the way to the bhava stage. Okay, so now that's further expanded. Prema bhakti is when love for Krishna is fully mature or ripe. So it's Shri Vishwanath also gives an example. A mango which is not ripe, so there's khatta, right? It's very soury taste. When it's fully ripened, then it's very sweet taste. So sadhana bhakti is like that. Initially, it's like a unripe mango, and slowly it is going to ripe, and then fully sweetness will come into the mango. So prema bhakti is when love for Krishna is fully mature or ripe, and sadhana bhakti is the same devotion that is not yet ripened, just a raw mango, then and a fully ripened fruit. This is the essence of the characteristics of Bhakti Tattva. Prema Bhakti Chandrika, that's from that is being quoted. And then Prema matures sequentially through Sneha. So first Shraddha to Prema, okay? But that's not it's the ultimate fruit of the sadhana. But that prema further maturing process is there, as I just told you. Prema, that means we have rati, attachment, sneha, mana, pranaya, raga, anuraga, and bhava and mahabhava. So that's what it develops. Finally, mahabhava, the ultimate stage. Prema itself, without abandoning the sweet qualities of previous stages. So each and every stage, the beginning stages, okay, they are also, that prema is there, but it needs to be matured without abandoning the sweet qualities of the previous stages. Becomes condensed or more relishable as it increasingly attempts those higher states, fully culminating into the Mahabhava. which is present only when the gopis are headed by Sri Radha. Actually, for us, if we just come to the bhava stage, there will be the great, most of us struggling to come to get this anartha nivritti, retiring all the sensual pursuits that we must give up. And that's where our goal, that's where we get stuck up, neophytes. But nonetheless, if you keep practicing under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, and we keep at it, so the difference between neophyte and one who's serious, what is the difference? Neophyte is multifaceted focus. Okay, this demigod, that demigod, you want to worship everyone, but that's not the way to progress. You have to exclusively devote it to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the demigods are his servants. That's what you have to develop. When you sharp focus from multi-focus, multi-directional focus to come to focus in one direction straight, right to the source, Krishna, that's how you come to a prema platform. So sadhana bhakti, right from beginning, the Guru teaches that, the Shastra teaches that. So finally coming to Mahabhava, sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti and prema bhakti are the three transformational stages. Now you understand transformation means? From neophyte stage, you transfer higher and higher and higher. In the school, elementary school, from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, come to the 12th grade, right? That's where you graduate from high school. And then you go to college, undergraduate, up to the bachelor's degree. And then you come to the master's level. Each stage you are focusing. In the high school, you study all different subjects. And when you come to the college, you are now focusing on one particular area. You graduate, you become the major. Say, let's say if you want to go science major, you want to which branch of science you do major? Is it mathematics? Is it physics? Is it chemistry? What? Okay. And then furthermore, after you get master's, you want to go to grad school in master's degree. Then within that chemistry major, my major was chemistry. And then I developed interest in organic chemistry. And for the organic chemistry, I developed interest in biochemistry, chemistry of the living organism. And then ultimately the genes that controlling, ultimately came to the genetics, molecular genetics. So every stage you become more and more focused. Okay. So in the beginning, that's what the difference between neophyte and the doctoral student. Yes, that's what the difference is there. Sequentially continue onward on the way from Sneha through Mahabhava. Importantly note, though, that none of the intermediate states ceases to exist. Okay, so that means when you go from Rati to Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, and all this. So when you go to Sneha to Mana or Pranaya stage, everything that you achieved at the previous stage, at the Rati stage, attachment stage, it's still there. You are focusing, you're condensing more and more, ultimately all the way to Mahabhava. So that's how you progress. So when you go from high school to go to college, you're not forgetting anything else. You studied algebra, geometry, all these things will be useful to you, even when you want to specialize. So when I specialize as an organic chemist first, physics, all this knowledge, I still had to remember that when you develop further. Mathematics also you have to know, all these things you have to know. You don't forget. And then focusing and then apply that knowledge where your goal is the ultimate goal. Even today also, look at these courses that I'm conducting and designing, lesson planning, everything I do. The mathematics play a fundamental role in that. I weigh each chapters, how much subject matter, how many pages are devoted, and that's how I develop lessons like that. So all this knowledge comes into play. Physics knowledge is also there. Okay, moving on. Text 6b, page 111 to 113. Now, in this stage, what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to show us that your efforts, your focus, and your labor, everything must continue to the topmost goal of developing bhakti, prema bhakti. But if you don't do that, if you don't realize that, then the human form of life is total waste. The ultimate reason for giving a human form of life is to develop love for Krishna. If you don't do that, then the whole human form of life is wasted. Shamayavi kevalam. Then you go back again to square one. All the 8.4 million species of life, you have to go through that. So this is what the whole gist of all this thing that you see in this slide, in the next slide, is because of that. So there are two parts, part 1 and 2. So we'll focus on the part 1 first, then zoom it into part 2. Okay. So it's part 1. The success of human life lies only in taking up Krishna consciousness. That is the ultimate goal of human form of life. If you don't realize that, then and he's giving us the actual examples, then there's no difference between us and the animals, because animals also do the same thing, eating, mating, all that thing, which is not possible for those other species of life. Only human form of life you can develop Krishna consciousness. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher, one who's killing his own self? Butcher that's what is killing his own self like that. We don't realize that. Do the trees not live? If you're talking about living symptoms, trees also have living symptoms. Okay. Do the bellows of blacksmith not breathe? They breathe, right? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? They also have sex. They have all these things. That's what we do, right? So what's the difference between human and them? Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to a transcendental pastimes. So if you don't develop Krishna consciousness, don't develop the taste, don't develop interest, then this human form of life is total waste. Then there's no difference between animals and us. Then this Srila Jiva Goswami's purport to this verse, this Srimad Bhagavatam verse 2.3, 18, 19. It is to be understood that humans averse, not showing any inclination to Hari Bhajana, are actually human-like animals. They are humans, but ultimately they have this animalistic inclination. Just enjoy. And soon the life is over, coming to the old age. This is indicated by the use of word apare. So we have to develop this bhakti process since we are humans and bring others to bhakti platform also. The second part, humans averse to devotional service are nothing but human-like animals, busily engaged in sense gratification. So those who are averse to Hari Bhajana, who do not develop any taste for it, and whose ears have never heard the name of Bhagavan, the holy name, are like dogs that bark unuselessly, camels that eat thorns, hogs that devour stool, donkeys that bear a heavy load while being kicked by a she-donkey. Such persons, despite being glorified by otherwise, are also averse to Hari Bhajana. See that now, very graphically, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur examples gives. It's very graphic and it's kind of a little bit disturbing also, right? But that is precisely those hundreds of thousands of people on the street that you see who never ever engage in bhakti process, and they are busily engaged in developing their career, making money and enjoying, more and more enjoyment, more and more hard work. That's how they spend the entire life, So that is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, that really you don't waste your entire life on those pursuits. They are useless. The goal of human form of life is not to just enjoy. You really want to get out of this material existence and ultimately develop love for God. You want to get out. The purpose is that a person who is averse to Hari Bhajana, who do not develop taste for listening Hari Katha, who is densely absorbed in sense gratification, whole life is geared toward making money, 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 money. Even when they approach 60s and 70s, they still want to make money. Who abandons the nectar of Hari Katha, who like a dog pursues useless material enjoyment. See how graphically Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying that, but it's the absolute truth. He's saying that. And who lives aside the nectar of Sri Hari's name is accustomed like a pig to eat the stool of sense objects. This is just like a camel who abandons soft mango leaves. Look at what does the camel do that, right? Camel likes to eat the thorns, and thorn, when they eat, thorn hurts the gums and they bleed. The blood is sweeter, right? So they taste sweetness, that's why they enjoy the thorns. But they don't realize that's thorn. It's ultimately hurting. What the sweetness they're experiencing is not the real sweetness of a mango in a tree, the fruit, which are likened to bhakti, and happily choose the thorns of material sense enjoyment. So that's exactly what we do. Unlike a donkey who happily carries the heavy burden of material existence while being kicked by the hind legs of she-ass. That's of course sense gratification, sexual enjoyment. Such persons who are glorified by others like them are fit to be called topmost among animals. So we are like animals. If we don't develop taste for Hari Katha, hearing Krishna Katha, because they are like elite among the brutes. Therefore, for those persons in whom human qualities have begun to blossom, taking shelter of Hari Bhajana or the path of Bhakti is imperative. That's what Jiva Goswami's purport. So beautifully explained. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So it's open for discussion. And I want to give last 10 minutes, we'll talk about the one which I want to talk about, okay? Hare Krishna. Satyadevata Prabhu. You have question, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Bol.
If Satyadevata Prabhu is going to ask the question, let him ask. I can go later.
First come, first serve.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah, that's good, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a wonderful class. So, Bhakti comes from Bhakti. It is not depend. It is a completely independent. Very nice statement, Prabhu. But for example, Prabhu, sorry for asking this mundane question. So like even, Brahmanda Pramite Kono, Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Pada, Bhakti Lata Beach, Prabhu, how we can take this one? And this is one point. And second point is we are worshipping Tulsi Maharani for giving that Bhakti. So how these components we can take it, Prabhu? What angle we need to understand? Could you please give us a glimpse, Prabhu? Thank you.
What our Acharya, Bhakti is, we are not fresh. Bhakti is already there in the dormant stage. Somebody has to close their microphone, please. So Bhakti is already there. It needs to be reawakened. Okay? And the way it is reawakened by the mercy of another devotee. Okay? And that associating with the devotees, that's how we develop the taste, ruchi. Shushrushasra Dhahanasya Vasudev Katha Ruchi. Only through serving the senior devotees, we get the taste. Otherwise, we don't even have a taste for hearing Krishna Katha, as we just heard in a graphical terms. So that is what it is there. And Tulsi Puja, Tulsi is very, very dear to Krishna. So that is how we come to Bhakti platform, all these things in different processes mentioned there. But the most important is this sadhu sangha at every stage. Otherwise, what? Padam padam vipada, pade padam vipada. Every step there's a danger, and the human form of life then will be totally wasted. So only by Bhagavad Kripa we get to meet and associate with a devotee and come to Bhakti platform. That's how, in fact, you discuss any devotee. I too myself came to Bhakti platform only by a mercy of another devotee and Madhumadikari, and then I happened to meet my Guru Maharaj like that. So this is how we make progress, and then we help others. Somebody helped us, right? So it's our duty to help others. So that's how Bhakti progresses. In fact, preaching by helping others, we don't lose anything. We gain more. Our Bhakti itself becomes strengthened. This teaching, these courses, conducting these courses for last 25 years on my own, if I had to do, I would not have done that. Just because teaching is the best way to learn a subject. So that is how I whatever the little progress I made on Bhakti, and I still have a long, long way to go. Okay? Still long way to go. But this is whatever the platform, whatever the stage at which I achieved after so many years is by the mercy of other devotees. The great scientist, he said that how does science, you don't become scientist just like that. You stand on the shoulders of others and then you see the horizon. So you need somebody's support to make progress. And then you give support to others like that. So Bhakti is like a game of chess. It's very easy to learn how the chess pieces move, right? But to become a chess master, chess grandmaster, you have to learn strategy, you have to learn tactics, all these things. So to become an expert, it takes time, it takes efforts. So Bhakti also, like, it's very easy to come to Bhakti platform, very easy. Chant Hare Krishna, very easy. But to make progress, you need a really steady devotion, goal, fire in your belly. That's how you make progress. When you fall in, when a youngster fall in love with a girl, he wants to find out everything about that girl, everything, full at every hour, what she does, where she goes, everything you find out, right? So here also we want to reach Krishna. We want to find out everything about Krishna, everything. Whatever as a 20-year-old that I was doing, exactly the same thing I'm doing here now, but it's now for Krishna. And whosoever you love, you get that person also on the Krishna platform. That is what you have to do. Hare Krishna. So Raju Prabhu, did I answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks for your enlightenment, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So it's
Yes, who is asking? Satyadevata Prabhu, you had a question, a comment?
Thank you. I have a very, very basic question.
I can hardly hear you.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, now I can hear.
Yeah. Now I have a very, very basic question, Prabhu. So as a part of the Bhakti process, we are also trying to seek knowledge, jnana. I mean, Bhagavad Gita has a lot of knowledge. All these books are giving a lot of knowledge. We are trying to understand the deeper aspect of soul, science, bhakti, and several aspects of it. How is this jnana, what we are trying to learn, different from the jnani's jnana?
They talk about Atma Jnana, right? But they're doing is by logical way, philosophical way they learn. So it's a mental speculation. Prabhupada says mental speculation doesn't work anywhere. You need to accept the Shastra. Shastra is a top down, where this philosophical way of learning from bottom up. Okay, you're learning. So that's a big difference. So they talk about Atma Jnana, And we also have Atma Jnana, but we want to develop this Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, the science of Krishna. So that knowledge, we are not speculating anything. Everything is given in the Shastra. And we understand Shastra with the guidance of a bona fide teacher. So we don't use philosophical way. In fact, the difference between mental speculation and philosophical speculation is this. Philosophical speculation is not wrong, but the mental speculation is mentally you keep on arguing, debating, things like that, right? Whereas philosophical speculation, you discuss within the framework of Shastra. Philosophical, you understand, but within the framework of Shastra. You try to understand Shastra, scriptures. Okay, scriptures is there, everything is there, and you take help from your spiritual master or the senior Vaishnavas. So that is the big difference. We get the knowledge, jnana, and they get the jnana. The way they do it is not the recommended way.
So the main difference is the way they gain it and the ultimate goal. Their goal is basically merging into the Brahman or something.
They use the logical deductions, mental speculating, philosophical, this thing, what they do, but they can go to the wrong path, completely get diverted to the main goal. Whereas devotees, they study bona fide Shastra, okay, and they understand the statements made in Shastra, understand under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, who themselves had another guru in their lives. So whatever they learn, ultimately coming straight, connecting with from Krishna all the way. Because when we use our own mental ability, our senses, the mind is not perfect.
Yeah.
We get completely on the wrong path and waste the whole human form of life. That is a fundamental difference, the way I understood it.
Understand. Thank you, Prabhu. One more related question, Prabhu. What was the path followed by various rishis which were mentioned in Shastras, Ramayana, Mahabharata? So many rishis were always quoted. This context has come up recently, so I was curious. Were they all following the Bhakti path?
Yeah, the rishis also, they studied Shastra, Vedas, Upanishad. Actually, Upanishad is nothing but these Jnanis, philosophers, but they study Shastra and they interpret according to their way of understanding. Okay, and Vyasa's own disciples, Jamin is one of them, was like that. So they do it, but still their source is Vedas.
Their source is Vedas.
That's how they develop theories. And Upanishads are philosophical way of explaining certain elements of the four Vedas. That's Upanishads. So it's a more jnana based, but within the framework of the scriptures, Vedas. They don't mentally imagine or interpret something.
Understood.
That's the big difference between the rishis and the modern philosophers in the universities. Muni also like that. Muni, they have their own mental way of doing. In fact, the way Muni is defined, unless he differs from somebody else, he cannot be called Muni. So, Muni and Rishi, there's a little bit differences there.
But the path what they were following is a Vedic path only eventually.
Yeah. Ultimately, they follow Vedic path.
Vedic path.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, there was one line you said which you quoted from Chaitanya Charitamrita where it says, without bhakti there is no result.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that is very evident a fact which is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I mean, I'm a little perplexed to understand why are there many paths, why people still follow the non-bhakti paths, and this is going on since ages, where the non-bhakti path are also parallelly going along with bhakti.
It's because of the particular way we are all different people, right? We are inclined in a different way because of that. Some are more on a Jnana path. Actually, I obviously I'm coming from that path, and then ultimately came to Bhakti. But my goal was never to merge with the Supreme. I really, all the way when I was in my 30s, 20s to not 20s, but I would say mid 20s to 30s, mid 30s. That's where I heard so much about the four Vedas, so much. So I became very curious, and I studied Vedas, Upanishads. 6 years of my life I spent there, but ultimately I wanted to understand who God is, and how do I get the God. First I want to know who God really is. Does He exist? And all these things. So I spent so much time studied the 10 major Upanishads from a teacher, and I couldn't get anywhere, because in Upanishads, the Supreme is explained on Nirguna Nirakar way.
Yes, impersonal way. All Upanishads, most of the Upanishads go in that direction.
Hardly you will see in Upanishad name Krishna, very, very few, like Gopal Tapani Upanishad is one of the exception. Isha Upanishad is one of the exception.
Narayana Upanishad.
Largely, by and large, it is really impersonalist viewpoint is there. So you don't get around that. That's the problem I faced when I was studying. Ultimately, when I met a devotee, then came to Bhakti platform, and when I first read Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, that's where my thirst really increased tremendously. And then I focused on Bhakti, because if you want to study Vedas, talk about all different branches of science, all different branches, so many branches, art and science both. But Bhakti Shastra, you focus on that, and even Bhakti also, as we realize how deeply it goes, So when you're coming back to your original question, you said why people are inclined in so many different ways like that. Because we are made differently. We all are individuals, and we have a certain taste, certain way. So you go through that like that, it happens. Why in the high school, somebody becomes artist, somebody becomes musician, somebody becomes scientist, engineer, doctor. It all depends upon your personal interest. So you go towards that direction and you develop that particular way. So all these different people go through different routes, jnana route, karma route, yoga route, Patanjali yoga, and all these things. They go because of that's where they're built like that. It's in our genes. Thank you.
So that's Krishna's decision to give the multiple paths based on our inclinations.
Yeah.
It's his design.
Bhakti is already there. You need to develop it. You need to reawaken. Its dormant stage is there. And every living being has a birthright to come to Bhakti platform. Okay? Either in this lifetime or some future lifetimes. Somewhere, some mercy of a devotee, Agyata Sikriti, that's how it attracts a devotee coming back in your life. And then you develop further onwards. So if you're lucky, we are all lucky. We came to this particular platform. Now we have to progress. We got the visa. We got the plane ticket. We have to board the flight and stay there. Ultimately, the plane lands.
Understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। So wonderful class प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, हम नए नए साधक है, तो हम यही समझ सकते हैं कि बस जो भगवान के अहेतु की सेवा कर सके और उनसे कुछ मांगे नहीं और नित्य करे, बस इतना भी हम करें तो प्रभु जी आगे बढ़ सकते हैं।
This is the most difficult path. Most of us came to Bhakti platform first, by and large, when we are suffering in material existence and we get tired of that and we want to get out of it. There are 4 ways Bhagavad Gita Krishna explains, right? Artha, Jnana, like that. Artha means yeah, that's how 4 ways we come to Bhakti platform. So this is what happens. But either way you select, somehow or other, yena kena prakarane, you come to Bhakti platform, your human form of life is fully successful. And once you get to bhakti, it never get lost. You always make progress all the time. Even if you don't succeed in this lifetime, ultimately Krishna himself brings you closer and closer to him. So we are all very lucky actually. We came to this life. So at least the next human birth is sure for us, and we develop further. So even if we are not
नेक्स्ट बर्थ में हमें भक्ति करने को चांस मिलेगा
ये कर ही रहे हैं ना,
प्रभु जी
ट्राई तो कर रहे हैं ना हम लोग.
नेक्स्ट बर्थ में भी चांस मिल सकता है ना प्रभु जी.
Yeah, so then Krishna says, when Arjuna asked him a question, that I give up all these material pursuits and come to your bhakti platform, and if I'm not successful, everything is wasted, isn't it? So Krishna said, no, nothing is wasted. If you come to bhakti platform, if you're not perfected, then I will give you a birth in a family, a devotee family. So right from childhood, so you pick it up from whatever the point that you left, in the previous life. So that is assured. Look at the good story of Bharat Maharaj. Jada Bharata story, very nicely enumerated there. So you always make progress. Now, coming to platform is the difficult part, and then practicing, and that's where you need steady focus. You need to focus. Krishna demands exclusive focus on him, and he is very difficult to please. Actually, very difficult. He really takes very, very tough examination. How solidly resolved you are, how solidly you are focused, and then he will provide help. He may give difficulties, but at the same time, he also protects you. And he says, "Na bhakta pranashanti." My devotees.
Yes, प्रभु जी. Yes, प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी, एक इंसिडेंट शेयर करવો છે. एक इंसिडेंट शेयर करना चाहती हूँ कि जब से मैंने भक्ति शास्त्री शुरू किया था, अब भक्ति वैभव 2 कर रही हूँ, मगर जब भी यूनिट की एग्जाम आती है, फर्स्ट यूनिट से लेके भक्ति वैभव की लास्ट यूनिट तक, एवरी एग्जाम में मुझे ऑलवेज प्रॉब्लम आता है. इतनी टफ एग्जाम होती है, कभी गेस्ट ही आते घर पे, और फिर आई हैव टू गिव एग्जाम. इतना डिफिकल्ट होता था प्रभु जी, मगर फिर भी एन के प्रकार में एग्जाम दे सकती थी. मगर दिस इज माय ऑब्जर्वेशन, एवरी एग्जाम में प्रॉब्लम.
No, actually that makes you study more focused study.
हाँ प्रभु जी.
It makes you more and more, because you want to succeed, so you want to study more and more.
Yes, I successfully give exam. Every exam I give successfully.
We will tell you to prepare for the classes. You know how much preparation goes in the play? Just 1 hour class, we have to read so much. Lesson planning, preparing PowerPoint, all these things. And that is how you make progress and understand yourself. Only unless until you understand, you are convinced, how are you going to explain to others? How are you going to convince others? So that is the challenge. And when we face challenges, any field, any specialty, unless until we face the challenges, we cannot make progress. Challenges are made, they are meant for us to make progress. अब सब easy मिल गया तो कुछ होगा ही नहीं. Ready-made on a silver platter, if you get it, then that's it. You don't make progress from that point onwards. Your life is full of always. When I did my Bhakti Shastra, Bhakti Vaibhav in the late 90s, beginning of 2000, like that, I had to struggle too. I was working full time, and at that time, my time, the only way this knowledge is to go to India, either Vrindavan or Mayapur, and I could get only 1 month leave every year. So I spent that 1 month leave and go and did the studies. So Bhakti Shastri took 4 years like that. Bhakti Vaibhav took quite some time. Then teachers training, all that thing. So this is how I did that, because but more and more I was gaining knowledge, more and more I realized I'm making progress in bhakti. When I go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, you get to meet all the senior devotees, acharyas, and listen to their talks. You make so much progress, and your bhakti is getting strengthened all the time. And then I began teaching myself, So more and more progress is being made only by teaching, learning, and then teach, share with others.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. That is meant for you to make progress. Okay, Sharad Prabhuji, I'll turn it over to you. And give me about 5 minutes before that, okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. What Rajiv Prabhu was talking, Krishna Kripa. When we do bhakti, we have been hearing the Lord will be very merciful to us. The meaning of that merciful is He will make us reach our Guru, our spiritual master, and through the spiritual master only, we will be able to reach Krishna, and there is no other way. It is not direct. If somebody thinks he can worship the Lord, worship Lord Krishna, and reach him directly, that is not possible. It has to be through the spiritual master, through the Guru. And what Satya Prabhuji was talking about jnana, that jnana of the jnani, as explained by Prabhuji, that is entirely different. When we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita and all that, that is not jnana, that is bhakti only. And it is direct bhakti, because the jnanis, their knowledge is speculative knowledge. And there is also a difference, what is described in the Bhagavad Gita from chapters 1 to 6, that jnani and the jnani which is described from 7 to 12, they are different. Like the verse we were quoting, jnani, artharthi, jigyasu and jnani, all those, they are not pure devotees. But this jnani and the other jnani, they are different. How? This jnani in this verse, he does not want anything. He has no desires at all. Whereas the other jnani, which is described in chapters 1 to 6, that jnani, he wants impersonal liberation. That is the difference. And remember, even if a jnani wants to merge with the Brahman, in the Brahman effulgence, at the end, he has to do ananya bhakti, anya vilasita sunyam. He has to go to that level. Otherwise, he also cannot achieve that. That means whether one is a jnani or a Ashtanga yogi or anybody else, lastly, he has to take recourse to this bhakti path only. Then only he will be successful. Otherwise, not. There is just no other way. And this brings us to the point of Sabhisesa and Nirvisesa. Now, there is a very interesting question discussed here. Like you know, the absolute truth has been discussed in the two manifestations. So that is the Sabhisesa, that is the personal aspect, and other is the Nirvisesa, which is the impersonal aspect, the Brahman aspect, devoid of any variety. Now the Nirvisesa Swarupa of the Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth, is also transcendental. Transcendental means beyond the modes of material nature. Then why then would bhakti have to adopt the material quality of goodness in order to grant some realization of this impersonal aspect, which is itself devoid of material qualities? Can bhakti, which is free from material qualities, not give realization of Nirvisesa Brahma while remaining in their own Swarupa? Now the answer is that it is said that Bhakti is the name of one of the Supreme Lord's Shaktis, energies, and the energy indicates the capacity to act, the capacity to accomplish, and this energy that manifests the supreme absolute truth, that is the Paratattva, is Bhakti only. And Bhakti Devi, who is beyond all material qualities, reveals her Swarupa of the Supreme Lord to the devotee who are free from all material desires and beyond the modes of material nature. But however, the desire for liberation remains in the heart of the Jnanis. Unless one's heart is devoid of any material desire, Bhakti Devi cannot awaken there. Bhakti Devi will not come and bless the devotee. And because it is like a thorn-like desire in the heart, the thorn-like desire is liberation only. In the Jnanis, that is because their heart is full of material desires and affected by the modes of material nature. Therefore, Bhakti Devi adopts the mode of goodness and appears in their hearts to fulfill their desires. There is no other way for them to attain perfection in their respective practices. So these are the various ways in which the Jnanis and the devotees, Bhaktas, they proceed on the path of Bhakti. And at the end only, I am again repeating, the Jnanis or the Ashtanga yogis, they cannot reach their destination unless they do Bhakti. And that is the reason why Bhakti is supreme, and it is praised by all the acharyas, all the rishis and everybody. And Satya Prabhuji was asking why there are so many paths. Because we have got so much inclinations, our attitudes, they are different. And we have been conditioned from ages. And unless the Lord keeps all these paths, then somebody may turn away. He will not believe in the Supreme Lord, and that will not be good. That's why all these paths, they have been designed to finally, ultimately lead them to the path of Bhakti. And in the path of Bhakti, one can have realization of the Supreme Lord. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So let us discuss about what I remember. I made some suggestion, proposed that we focus one course at a time. So tomorrow onwards, tomorrow we will not do Madhurya Kadambhini, but now we will continue studying 3 times a week. We will meet and we'll focus on this Prem Vivarta. We'll complete that. So as you see in this slide, I've redone this class schedule and see that all the way from now onwards, tomorrow onwards, 3 times a week we will meet until we complete Prem Vivarta. On June 3rd, we will finish. And then June 8th, we will do Madhurya Kadambhini, as you can see right here. We meet Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday for me is Friday and Saturday. So you can see Fridays we will meet. These are my times, US times. For you, it's like a night, 8 o'clock, 8 to 10, and then Saturday morning and Sunday morning for you. For me, it is Friday twice. So you can see that we will pick up after we complete Prem Vivarta on 3rd June. And after that, the first weekend comes, that is June 8. Where is that? Yeah. This is Friday. So June 8, we will begin that. Madhurya Kadambhini, we will finish entire Madhurya Kadambhini, all the 8 showers. And so that will be July 14. And then the subsequent weekend, we will begin Sri Jaiva Dharma, 48 lessons. So that will take us all the way to November 3rd, my date. November 4th will be yours. So we will finish at least 7 weeks before our earlier schedule. So then I can focus. So first, we'll focus on one course at a time totally. Even though the related topics are there, we'll focus one course at a time. And for me, I get to finish much quicker, so I can focus my time after November. I'll be 100% full time. I'll be writing for my book, the second book that I would publish. My goal is to finish the book by the end of this year. So early next year, February, March, it should come out of the press. That is my goal. Any questions? So I'm so far I've got all positive response from all of you. Yeah, anybody? Somebody trying to ask? Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji, just wanted to know how long you are expecting your book, Prabhu? How many months you are planning to? I know you are spending like 14-15 hours each day towards a presentation or something. If you are working towards your book, what is your plan, Prabhu? Like how you made your plan?
In the conduct of these courses takes bulk of my time, so I don't get much time. So
when you start your book in November,
what this book is about?
How many months you are expecting, Prabhu, you to write your book in November when you?
Yeah, if I work full time on my book, I would imagine probably about 2 months, within a 2 to 3 months maximum, I should be finishing that book. So hopefully by the end of this year, beginning of January 24, I should be able to complete the book, manuscript.
Understood.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is
Prabhu,
book,
just at your lotus feet, I wanted to make a submission. Just purely a submission, Prabhu. Just kindly think about it.
Yeah, please.
Maybe you can, after completing Prema Vivarta and Madhurya Kadambhini, maybe you should spend 3 months on your book and then continue the Jaiva Dharma course, so that your longing desire, which is in your heart for many years, you are able to spend good time when it's at your hand. You'll be able to finish, and you will have that sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. And then we start our Jaiva Dharma course. It's just a thought I've submitted at your lotus feet for you to think.
Good suggestion, and I weighed very heavily on that. But in my life, whatever things I started, I never leave it incomplete. And I had committed, I gave my words to the Lord that I will do Jaiva Dharma. So that is my duty towards Krishna. And now I have a good help from Sharad Prabhuji. I think we'll do it. See, everything gets done at proper time and place. Ultimately Krishna is calling the shots. Krishna is engaging me here to strengthen, to sharpen my knowledge. I will need all this Shastra when I make arguments in my book. All these things I'll be using this references, everything. I have to do very thoroughly scriptural search that I'm proving that the transformation is taking place due to Bhakti, genetic transformations, turning on of genes, because that is my specialty. And that's what I'm applying here. So, and I remember, I'm going to be bombarded critics from both sides, from the devotee community, as well as from the scientists, academic scientists. So I have to handle. In fact, that was the reason why I went to the academia. I got my master's degree 2 years back, and I was doing my PhD, but then I got in this trouble. I got a heart attack, and I lost vision in my left eye. That's why I had to take the semester off. But I'm hoping that I can do it we'll see what happens. It's up to Krishna. But I want to finish this book, that's for sure. So I want to devote full time and publish this book. But that is my ultimate contribution to Krishna consciousness. As I told you that my audience targeting devotee community and the scientists, academic, but ultimately I want to help the mass of people of the street. I want to be able to convince them scientifically that simply begging mercy from the Lord, bowing down to the deity of Krishna, the divine couple, how the transformation in the body takes place right from that point onwards. Tremendous, dramatic transformation takes place within us. So that is my ultimate contribution. If I develop that, if I get this book get done, published, I think my life would be worth spending. So your suggestion is very good, but since I already committed myself, I want to, that my commitment was to Krishna ultimately, and it is his mission. He is guiding me. If he wants me to give up this thing, take up the book, that will happen too. I left everything to him. I'm all ready, whatever the path he chooses for me. And I need support from all of you. You are like my family. As you can see in my emails, I share everything with all of you. Even my most intimate things, my medical history, everything I share with you. My life is an open book. And yes, I work long hours, very long hours, 7 days a week. Now it's more challenging because 3 courses I have to conduct, thrice a week. So a lot of preparation goes into play, But like I said, if you have a fire in the belly, there's nothing that you cannot achieve when you depend on Krishna's protection and his empowerment. So whatever we are learning about bhakti, I'm exactly putting that in the real applicable sense. I'm applying it in my own life. Exactly what I learned in my 25 years of study. Actually 35 years. First 10 years, I did my own study. In last 25 years, I've been teaching. 35 years of my devotional service is going to be ultimately put to test in writing this book. And that is the end. Then I don't want to live anymore. I just want 5 more years, that's all. Hare Krishna. Who is going to do Krishna? Shaga Prabhu is there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Let's do the class. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obsession. All go to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Praladaladahi. Praladaladahi. Hiranyakasi Purvakshat. Hiranyakasi Purvakshat. Tilatankar Nathali. Tilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. By Narsingha, Hridaye Narsingha. By Narsingha, Hridaye Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Saranam Prapade. Tava Kala Kamala Bhare. Nakhadbhuta Singam Dadita Hiranyakashipu Thanubringam. Kesavadita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Tava Kala Kamala Bhare. Nakhadbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipur Anubhringam. Kesavadhita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, चारू प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण चारू प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Saga Prabhu. Thank you, everyone. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. All glory to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glory to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. All glory to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So tomorrow we will not have Madhurya Kadambhini, but we will have lesson 7, I believe, of Prema Vivarta. And we will continue studying that until June 3rd, we complete Prema Vivarta. Before we proceed onwards to Madhurya Kadambhini, we will resume that, the point from where we left. So Hare Krishna, everyone. I wish you all the wonderful, wonderful time ahead. So tomorrow I look forward to see you back again for the Prema Vivarta course. Hare Bol.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam. Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna
much.
Chandra Bhai.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
you very much.
Dandat Pranam. Very nice class.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharat Prabhuji, Sanjeev Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.